Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So today we're going to be covering yet another collapse of a Sweet Baby related game. So here's the relevant headlines. So Tales of Kinzera Zhao developer lays off entire team and puts entire games division on hiatus after previously claiming game sales were fine. So this was a game that focused on...
They're not great. They're fine. I like that wording. That's good.
Diversity-related story, and unfortunately, its connection to Sweet Baby and other problematic people in the gaming industry really quickened its demise. Now, before we get into the details of this story, I want to take like 30 seconds to sing Kumbaya with you guys and say thank you because last night we crossed the 700,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. This was a goal I had for much further in the future, and thanks to a lot of positive reception of videos this year, especially videos focusing on some newer topics, we reached this goal much faster. And as always, like once a year spiel here, if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe. We're uploading videos daily for over 4 years now, and also put on your notifications for this channel or any channel you enjoy on YouTube, so it makes it harder for YouTube to hide related videos in the algorithm. So once again, thank you guys for hitting.
That's actually a good point. If you get algorithms suppressed, like from copyright strikes and shit, if you are sub-notified, it does go through
this big milestone. So let's get into the story for today. So we're going to be focusing on Surgeon Studios, who created the game relevant to today, Tales of...
Bro, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 4 out of 5, 4 out of 8 out of 10. I've never heard of this game. Chad, do you think that if you give it a 9 out of 10, do you think that people would be talking about it more? A gem? Yeah, Polished Turd is also a gem.
Kinzera Zhao. Now, you can see right here, a day ago, they made a very troubling message saying this: help us bring our vision to life. We've decided to put the work of Surgeon Games division on hiatus while we secure funding for our next project. In the meantime, we've unfortunately had to put our team on notice for redundancy. And basically, we're going to skip down here to this. Our team has created a prototype for a bold new project. It's darker, edgier, and more visceral than our first game, but it retains all Zhao's high-octane combat and cultural depth, and we're looking for a partner. So,
do you know what this reminds me of? When like a restaurant is closing down and it's like falling apart and it's always been like really bad, and you're just like, you're coming in and you're looking around, you're like, finally this place is gonna go down. It's like crumbling, like the walls are falling apart.
Things are not going well. They basically they're putting everyone on hiatus right now, and they're trying to secure more funding for the next project. So clearly Zhao did not go very well.
It's a pump and dump.
And the numbers really speak for themselves, but let's focus on this game, right? It has a lot of connections. We're going to get into Sweet Baby in just a second, but you can see right in their own header here all of these very high reviews from various members of the gaming industry.
Eurogamer, GameSpot, IGN Spain, Sports Illustrated. Wait, why does Sports Illustrated give reviews on video games? Hello? Something ain't right, chat.
Industry. You would think this game is something on fire, right? It would get a big audience, but how do you explain this?
Oh my god. Oh my god! It didn't even spike up like this. It just went this flatlined.
So over the half a year or so this game's been out, it had a peak of 287 players, and in the last 24 hours, barely cracked double digits in terms of...
Bro, fucking Fallout 4, Left 4 Dead 2, Left 4 Dead 1 has more players despite being a 15-year-old game. Fallout 4 is not, but my point still stands. Left 4 Dead is a 15-year-old fucking game, man. It has more players than this.
Its 24-hour peak.
That's pathetic.
And you can see that all-time peak happened on release, and then within a few days, it nosedived and pretty much flatlined from there, and nothing that they tried over that course of a few months could revive any legitimate interest into this game. Now, part of that is because of its connection to Sweet Baby. Back early.
Chat, surely it's not that bad. Surely it's just like people being sexist and racist, right? They just wrote off this game because they're just a bunch of racists. I don't know. Yeah.
Earlier this year,
that's what I think.
Sweet Baby would make a promotional post for this game showing their connection to the client, and people would notice this and add it to the now famous Steam group Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, which really gave this a terrible, terrible connection to Sweet Baby, because this game would launch in April. So at that point, we're already deep into the criticism of Sweet Baby. A lot of people, millions of people were aware of this company, and they were not interested in anything associated with them, and that would include Zhao as well. And to make things even crazier,
Kimberly Belair, there it is. Poggers. Initial shareholder. She had shares in it. She lost money on this.
The founder of the studio, Salim, was actually a partner with the founders of Sweet Baby, David Bedard and Kim Belair, alongside another employee, Amy Lee Shaw. And
I can't believe his name is Bedard. I'm bedarded.
And that company they created is, of course, Sweet Baby. And furthermore, it was actually Salim who would resign from his role as the director of the company in March, just a month before they were going to launch this game with the other studio. So there is a very clear connection to Sweet Baby.
Baby sucre means baby sugar in French. Yeah, I was about to say.
Here, and that would prove to be a very negative connection. Now, as sales were starting to plummet and really flatline in terms of the concurrent number of players, the founder of the relevant studio, Abu Bakr Salim, would try to, I guess, generate some hype, try to revive something, and also deflect some of the blame.
No shot. They're an actor and they opened up a studio? Actor, game dev, producer. Alan of Hull in House of Dragon. Creative director of Zhao the Game. Yeah, definitely a good candidate. Actor, also game dev.
Hype, try to revive something, and also deflect some of the blame this game is receiving for its poor performance. So,
1.8 million views.
He would make this video tweet here saying a needed message, and look at the amount of attention and support this got. Nearly 2 million views and 14,000 likes, largely from other people in the games industry and games journalists. But let's hear what he had to say about some things going around in the industry and towards that game at the time, back in May of this.
Gamers are bitches. They're racist. They don't like playing my game because they hate black people. Probably in some form of that, right?
Year, about 1 month after the game was released.
Yeah.
It was one of our goals from the outset to have this positive impact, right? But at the same time, we are being faced with constant, targeted harassment from people who see diversity as a threat.
Bitch, just make the game good. No one's gonna care, man. I wish someone would just sit down with them and be like, if the game is good, people don't care. It's okay to fail, but like blaming gamers, the customers, the people that are eating your food, if you're at a restaurant, why are you blaming them? They're the ones that are gonna come back if you make something good. I heard that from game devs like many times, people who made amazing games, they said stuff along the lines of, hey, if I make a good game and nobody sees it, maybe I should try again. The guy that made, what is it called? Lethal Company said that they made a bunch of games and nobody saw them because they didn't think it was fun. And then Lethal Company popped off because it was actually a really fun game. Many such cases of games failing, and that's okay. But this is not constructive.
from people who look across the vast landscape of modern media and decide that anything that doesn't speak to them or centers around them is unnecessary and inauthentic.
I've played plenty of games where the main protagonist is a male. It doesn't mean I relate to it directly. It just makes the story, like, if the story's good, I don't have to directly relate to the character in the fucking game. That's just terrifying to me. Stellar Blade, hot woman with a massive ass, mainly men playing that game. I don't know. I don't think a lot of them identified directly with the main character. I just think they thought her ass looked nice. The physics were amazing. Her boobies look good. And the combat's really good. Wow!
And look, there's always a reason why diverse stories can't exist. You know, it's always either we're doing it the wrong way, or it's just there to tick boxes.
So he obviously begins with the deflection, saying everything that they're facing is targeted harassment. We've heard the exact same thing from Sweet Baby themselves many times, especially through its CEO, where they basically paint any criticism of their company or games they're associated with as targeted harassment, while of course not acknowledging the actual targeted harassment that began the entire kickback against Sweet Baby when one of its...
Yeah, this all started because Cabrutus got harassed. I'm the victim, Chad. I threw the first stone, but I'm the victim, Chad.
Its employees, Chris Kindred, would start a harassment and false flag campaign against Cabrutus, the leader of Sweet Baby Inc. Detected.
Yep.
Now, going forward, he talks about people hating diversity in games. And one of the things he doesn't really acknowledge is a lot of what people hate is forced diversity, when it seems that people are checking boxes, as he says. And I think that's very obvious in a lot of games where they're making decisions simply to check boxes and push whatever agenda they support. Now, with this game itself, I don't think this might have been the most egregious example of forced diversity or anything. It just seemed like a diverse story. I just don't think it really resonated with a lot of people and didn't appeal.
And it probably just didn't have good combat, or like it was boring at the start. Like, I've played plenty of games that had characters that were quote unquote not diverse, but it just wasn't a good game. Period. It's set in Africa, shrug. Why don't they make, like, people said that Assassin's Creed Shadows could have been a really good game if it was like Assassin's Creed Shadows set in like medieval Africa or something with like tribes, and you learn about history that way. Because people were like, well, we never had a Japan game before, and we also never had other continents and other places involved. We could have like a LATAM Assassin's Creed. That would be cool. It's just weird to like force these ideas down people's throats instead of making something like that is at least relatable or authentic. I thought it was cool when I played like Total War and like I had like different armies that had, you know, historically accurate things. It doesn't have to be 100% historically accurate, but it should have a niche. I would kill for an AC Nubia game. Yeah, it was like something like with the freaking wars and stuff. Like they had like tribal wars or like set in Egypt. That would be neat. Why is it always like made up stuff that doesn't really exist?
To a lot of people, sometimes games can have a pure diversity-centered message and just not connect to people. Just because something is authentically...
Oh, we did have one in Egypt? Okay, well... I think that if it was centered around like South Africa or something before the white people got there, you know,
diverse or anything like that
would be cool.
Doesn't mean it's going to succeed. Again, as I always say, if you're focusing on diversity as a selling point as for your game, you're probably going to struggle really badly. Now, let's continue on. He would say some further things. 2 main points I want to highlight right here.
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
Oh.
So starting today on Switch, shout out to Nintendo for acting fast on this. You know, I'm lowering that bar of entry further by dropping the price of ZOW to less than $15. Now, I genuinely believe.
Oh no, sweetie, dropping the price of your game isn't gonna make people play it. Oh no, if your burger tastes like shit and then you give it out for free, people aren't gonna like it. Oh, sweetheart.
In the power that games have
Sorry.
to bring us close together. And I believe that, you know, this is, you know, just one way that I can show you how serious I am about this.
I feel bad for him, man.
Games are for everyone. Like, diverse games, then they're not about taking something away from you. They're about adding something in.
So there's two things. I want to start with.
It's a Metroidvania-esque game. It's not that popular genre compared to other genres. Okay, counterpoint. People still, the RTSs are very much out of fashion in like video games in general right now. Like they used to be really popular, like between like 2000, 2010, maybe 2015. That's when they started falling off. People still play like Age of Empires and stuff like that, and StarCraft. Because they're good games! I'm sure there's gonna be Metroid-esque games that you can find that are good in recent times. It's just, you know, this one was not very good, and now they're upset about it and crying because gamers are racist, I guess.
The latter point of what he said, talking about these stories being for everyone, diverse stories being for everyone. And I would say, again, the connection to Sweet Baby and some other people in the industry is something that really hamstringed anything he's going for here. Like, unfortunately, your connection to Sweet Baby is going to reflect upon the values some of their employees have shared over the years. I mean, we've had multiple employees from their company make disparaging comments not only about white people, but also against Jewish people, gay people, as well as black people as well. Like, we've seen all kinds of slurs they've said, trying to exclude certain people from viewing their games, or you know, outright saying that their games are not meant for white people, for example. And that is a very off-putting thing for a lot of people, right? They don't feel welcomed when it comes to anything associated with Sweet Baby. And honestly, why would they? None of these things have ever been acknowledged. None of these disparaging comments have been met with any acknowledgement or any punishment from Sweet Baby towards its own employees. And
they finally fired the guy that was making really, really horrible comments because it made him look bad. That's about it, though.
Further, he talks about discounting the price of this game, and he tries to frame it in, I think, a pretty smart way. He's trying to make it seem like it's done to lower the bar to make sure everyone can go out and buy this game, because it's basically the price of a pizza at that point, like $15, right? And I think the way he frames it is smart, but I think the reality is we all know at that point, we're in March, it's been a month, the game is already flatlined. Like, it's probably in the, you know, double digits, barely at that point in terms of player count, and they're trying to make a move to boost the
At least the pizza that I would order for $15 would fill me up, and it would be edible. If I bought a game for $15 and I didn't have fun within an hour of the game, then sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
numbers a little bit, right? It seemed like it was their shot in the dark, their Hail Mary pass to try to make something happen with this game, and it really didn't work. I mean, if you look at the actual the chart here with the sales numbers, I mean, look, we're in May here. They did the discount, and nothing really happened. It just kind of stagnated.
Nothing happened. It happened right here. He said 15th of May. This is the 20th. Nothing happened.
During that period, it really didn't work. However, Salim would go on to Twitter and in quotes say this: "The game isn't selling well," end quote. Also false. I've addressed this on and Ask Me Anything Reddit. The numbers some are circulating are a fraction of our actual playership, and they're being shared in bad faith by people.
Oh, here we go. The cope that the culp that because it's just on Steam charts, it means it's wrong. Ugh, classic. No, the sales numbers aren't negative. We reduced the price of the cost, but people are still buying it. Trust us, you guys. Don't believe the Nazi propaganda. Those complaints I've seen is that there's a lot of potential for game. It was a polished, clean, and treated. People want it, and the involvement of SBI just soured it for people. Yeah. Yeah, but even if it wasn't, like, again, I have to reiterate, what if SBI wasn't involved at all, period? Do you think these people would be crying as much? Would they still be blaming gamers for, like, not appreciating their art instead of taking the L and moving on? Yeah.
Who are wanting to provide proof that their harassment campaign has been successful in punishing us for daring to take up space. So again, I don't understand, even if real, how a harassment campaign would bar people from trying to buy your game. If there's genuine interest, how would these bad actors have anything to do with their ability to purchase it? Like, are they physically stopping people from buying the game? I don't think so. And this idea,
put a gun to their head.
idea that the numbers are good, like, come on. I know there's not a single developer out there who will come out and say, yeah, the numbers are bad. We're really struggling. They have to try to frame things in a positive light. But at this point, on June 2nd, after they already discounted it to about $15, this is just cope, right? They're trying to save their image. And I genuinely believe that the discounted price only served one thing, and that's an agenda push. So if you look at some of the Steam numbers, right, especially the reviews,
yeah, didn't someone say at the start? I remember reading a chat comment saying, like, yeah, look at the reviews, they're ass. It says it's not ass.
Very strange. This is not like an exact science or anything like that, but looking at the very positive reviews, 518 of them versus the next tier, mostly positive, only 22, versus also the player counts throughout the history of this game, something doesn't really add up, right? How does a game with such a low player count have such a high number of very positive?
Yeah, I've played little indie games that have like 200 people maybe like playing at the same time, and they really don't have a lot of reviews. Reviews are pretty like rare. It's like the numbers don't add up, if that makes sense.
Reviews. I think the discount and also the amount of support this game's gotten from games journalists and other members of the industry made this artificial boom in the positive reviews, but didn't translate to actual players. I think a lot of people were supporting this game to support some kind of an agenda. They're pushing whatever narrative they're trying to push, and I think they saw the cheap price of this game, and they decided to buy it and give a flimsy review to prove a point, right? They're trying to say, you know,
I mean, ultimately, realistically, 500 isn't even that much. Yeah. Someone has to like it or hate it enough to actually take time out of their day to review it. Yeah, or you just tell a bunch of people at your company to, like, write a review.
These chud gamers aren't going to win. We saw so many people in the gaming industry and games journalists push this game really, really hard. And I think at the end of the day, it just hurt this product even more. The association with Sweet Baby was already like the first shot, but the association with bad actors in the gaming industry was the kill.
It's also just sus. Why even do it, you know? Why even inflate it?
Shot. Like, that's what really solidified it. The more that they push this game, the more it turned people off from even trying it. Because nobody wants to look at these games journalists who actively make disparaging comments about gamers all the time. Nobody wants to hear their recommendations. Anything they recommend is going to be treated as something to avoid. And I think that actually hurt Zhao.
When I see a games journalist say like, oh, Red Dead Redemption doesn't feature enough women, and it says it's a bad game because of that, it just makes you want to try it even more. Before I started playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I read some articles as like kind of like a joke, and some of them unironically said that there's no like main characters that are women, even though there's a couple scattered throughout that go through hard times. And I just played the game and I thought it was amazing. I to Arthur directly, but like the game itself is amazing. It's got horses in it. Oh my god, women love horses.
Even more in this scenario. And another thing I want to point out too, literally the same time that he made the comments about this game selling really well despite the claims of these bad actors out there, Surgeon Studios would announce that they were doing a round of layoffs. 12 people were being laid off by the company, clearly because things weren't going very well. This was their big game at the time. I mean...
Yeah, and then the same person says that the gamers are lying. To be fair, hold on, to be fair, I will play devil's advocate. It doesn't matter how well you do, corpos will lay off people even if you're doing, like, amazingly. Yeah, let's not forget Blizzard had one of their best years in history in 20 years, and they laid off like 800 people in the same year. Yay!
1 + 1 = 2 in this situation. Bad sales, layoffs, that tells us exactly what we need to know about the state of the company at that time. But anyways, that's going to do it for this story. Definitely a lesson, a series of lessons to be learned about the gaming industry and how people feel about certain connections that studios have. And I think this game was hamstringed greatly by its connection to not only Sweet Baby, but also some bad actors in the gaming industry and among games journalists. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
That was great. Wow. I had no idea. I had no idea. Literally didn't even know that this game came out. Again, there are certain things that Sweet Baby does to games that are noticeable. Like the whole Spider-Man thing, the drama surrounding the changing of the Spanish language, that was really off-putting. I thought that was insane. I almost didn't believe it. When Spider-Man came out in Spanish-speaking countries, they changed the grammar to like suit like gender-neutral language or something, if I remember correctly. And people on stream noticed that. No, not Latinx. They literally changed the grammar. I'd have to find an example.
Spanish streamer
This happened months
Rubius
ago.
mutes
Like a year
Spider-Man
ago.
2 after hearing gender-neutral Spanish. What?
Lo sé, pero el hombre al mando, Harry Osborn, tiene buena reputación. Y encima ha contratado a mi científica de abejas favorite, la apidóloga M. Young.
Favorite is not a Spanish word, either favorito or favorita. Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Es le
It's immersion breaking, chat. It's immersion breaking. It doesn't make any sense.
mayor experta en el desorden de colapso de colonias.
She did it again! Wait, let me see. Experta is not a Spanish word. Experto or experta. Ah, you're not allowed to have gendered names. Oh, so look, I'm gonna say it. I speak Russian, and there is a lot of gender in like expressing yourself in the language. If they had that, it wouldn't make sense to me in my head. It's also insulting towards your language. It's literally reverse, like, cultural appropriation. It's so strange.
De colapso de colonias.
Oh.
Nope. Turn that shit off. So basically, is this like a continuation of Western cultures appropriating the Spanish language and the Spanish culture to incorporate gender conforming language on behalf of all Americans that are not mentally ill? I would like to apologize. apologize to the Spanish community. We don't want this either. We think it's just as ridiculous as you do. And in fact, we're even more embarrassed because it's our people doing it. Having your language changed by a developer that is not even from your fucking country, to change it in order to make it inclusive to Western values, it's unironically cultural appropriation. It's insane.
And also, to top it off, it makes you feel like Spanish, or the language you're talking about, is quote-unquote bad. This is terrible to hear. I'm sure someone could find an example of that, like that, in Russian. I just know from experience, like, when you're learning a language and it sounds wrong, it sounds like grating, almost. And it's like, it's almost like someone didn't put in, like, effort into, like, learning or correctly translating it. Yeah. Maybe Western values are so shit as they think they make a decision for us. Yeah, it's just condescending. I hate it. I think it's dumb. It's stupid.